Most woodworkers worry about table saws and kickback, but what if I told you the most dangerous thing in your shop is something you can't even see? You might have heard that sawdust can harm your lungs, cause cancer, or make you grow corn out of your ears. There's a lot of misinformation out there. My goal is to give you the facts about the dangers of sawdust and the dust collection solutions that will help minimize the risk. I'm in a unique position to address both subjects because I'm an internal medicine physician assistant during the day and a devilishly handsome woodworker, also by day, but on my days off as well, and nights sometimes, and when my wife wants something built, and if I have a free hour. Sawdust comes in different sizes. This can range from a few millimeters down to 1 micrometer or micron. To put it in perspective, a human hair is roughly 100 microns thick. Dust particles under 20 microns are invisible to the naked eye, and it's this dust that is most dangerous. This dust tends to get deposited almost entirely in the nasal cavity, while dust less than 5 microns tends to move past your nasal cavity and down into your lower respiratory tract. This includes your trachea, bronchi, and bronchioles. Dust that is 1 micron or less can get into your alveoli, which is the smallest functional unit in the lungs and the site where gas exchange happens in the body. Since this dust is so small, it can linger in the air you're breathing for hours, giving it a greater chance to enter your body. When I started researching this topic, my assumption was that the greatest threat would be lung cancer caused by inhaling the dust into our lower respiratory tract. But boy, was I wrong. Those 5 to 20 micron particles that get deposited in your nose and create those wonderful dust boogers we all love are the biggest problem because they can cause nasal adenocarcinoma, aka cancer. A report from the National Toxicology Program presented to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services discovered through research that there are strong associations between nasal cancer and wood dust exposure. Go figure. To make things even worse, this cancer can invade adjacent tissue or metastasize, which means spread through the blood or lymph, to different organs, like your brain or lungs. The smaller dust that moves down into your lower respiratory tract is at a lower risk of causing cancer in your lungs, but what it does do is activate your immune system, who see this dust as a foreign invader.
Resist the foreign invaders.
Your immune system is like Bruce Lee on steroids. And it recruits cells in your body to fight this foreign invader, and this process causes inflammation. This inflammation can lead to chronic bronchitis, asthma, COPD, and pulmonary fibrosis, to name a few. These conditions all reduce the effectiveness of gas exchange in your alveoli, leading to shortness of breath and the possibility of having to live with home oxygen for the rest of your life. Not fun. So we've talked about the size of dust particles and how that can affect the body in various ways. But what about wood species? Hardwood dust is considered to be more dangerous than softwood due to stronger correlations with nasal adenocarcinoma. I found a lot of research articles that discussed oak and mahogany as being particularly dangerous. This pissed me off, quite frankly.
Oh, that pisses me off. That pisses me right off.
Because I work with oak all the time, and mahogany is like my favorite wood. Oh well. Softwood has been shown to be a bigger culprit in the development of asthma and other respiratory conditions that affect the lower respiratory tract. There are some exotic hardwoods as well that contain higher concentrations of natural chemicals that have been getting more attention lately by researchers. The type of machine being used affects the amount of smaller, more dangerous dust particles that enter the air. Special instruments that measure the amount of dust in the air have demonstrated that power sanding machines are the biggest culprit in producing this fine dust. Routers also tend to be bad. Your table saw, planer, and jointer tend to produce larger chips and are less concerning, but still produce a measurable amount of fine dust particles. So what can we do about it? Dust collection is the obvious answer, right? But some dust collection works better than others, and you need to know which does what. You have your dust collectors, which include shop vacs and first and second stage dust collectors. Then you also have your air filters and face masks. Your best bet is to incorporate all of these dust collection and filter methods, and it's possible to do it realistically and affordably. But before we get into that, you'll have to excuse me for a minute. I have to pee. If you're finding this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and drop a comment to let me know if I've covered everything you wanted to hear about, or if I missed anything you want to know more about. Your support is greatly appreciated, and it's the thing that keeps this channel going. So thanks, guys. There are two main categories of dust collection: shop vacs and your bigger single and two-stage collectors. The key difference being that shop vacs operate under high pressure, low volume, and single and two-stage collectors operate under low pressure, high volume. What? What this means is shop vacs produce a high amount of suction to lift or pull material, but it's not moving a large amount of air, or CFM, which is cubic feet per minute. This makes shop vacs work like a vacuum and work best when they're used in a situation where you can get close to the source of the dust and are not collecting a huge amount of dust. They work just dandy with router tables and miter saws because you can generally get a hose very close to the source of the dust, and these machines produce far less dust and chips overall than a table saw, jointer, or planer. The effectiveness of the shop vac rapidly declines as you move far away from the source. With the single and two-stage collection systems, it's all about moving a large volume of air. These systems work best with 4-inch hoses and ductwork, and larger units even work well with 6 and 8-inch ductwork. These are best used on machines with 4-inch dust ports and when the hose is farther away from the source of dust, like on your jointer or table saw. They work more like a collector for dust and can handle much larger volumes of dust. To demonstrate the difference, try using your shop vac on a router table that will generally have a 2-inch dust port. Then try a single-stage dust collector going through the same 2-inch dust port. It's going to be less effective because the bottleneck created by the smaller hose opening drastically reduces airflow and therefore the effectiveness of a low-pressure, high-volume system. A single-stage dust collection system differs from a two-stage in that the single stage doesn't have a separator section. I used to have a Pence EF5 dust collector, and that's got a big cyclone dust collection separator on it. And unfortunately, it crapped the bed 2 months ago, so I had to upgrade to this machine here, which has an internal separator. It's still a two-stage system, just has the separator built into it. The separation section, which is often called a cyclone in larger units, serves to separate the larger wood chips and dust particles before they get to the filter. I'm not an engineer, so I'm not sure exactly how that happens, but it does. Why is this important? Because if larger chips and dust are removed before the rest of the dust gets to the filter will theoretically clog much less. And why is that important? Because the more clogged the filter is, the more airflow is reduced. Remember, the single and two-stage systems work by moving large volumes of air at low pressure. The air goes into the machine and it has to come out somewhere. This is through the filter, and with a clogged filter, the air ain't moving. So now we're going to throw a wrench in the system. Turns out that filters work best when they have been seasoned by a layer of dust after initial use. This layer is called filter cake, and it improves filtration efficiency because the cake acts as a primary filter, catching smaller particles that might otherwise pass directly through the pores of the filter material. At this point, you're probably thinking, wow, this guy's a total idiot.
You're an idiot.
He just told us the filter needs to be cleaned to maximize airflow, but the filter works best when it is somewhat clogged. So what the hell? Turns out, it's all relative, my friends. Your goal is to achieve the ideal combination of airflow and filtration.
Are you serious?
Keeping airflow high will collect more dust at the source, and having some buildup of dust on your filter will maximize filtration. All right, so great. That's a lot of information, and now we're at the most important part of the video, which is how is all this useful to us in our small wood shops?
How's this helping me?
What it translates to is this. In an ideal world, you would use high pressure, low volume systems, this is your shop vac, on your smaller machines that have 2-inch dust ports, and single and two-stage collectors on your larger machines that have larger ports and produce much more sawdust. So you have one shop vac that you can move around to all of your smaller machines, and then you have a central unit for larger machines, either as a single-stage collector that's mobile and connects to one machine at a time, or a two-stage collector that connects to multiple machines through ductwork. If you can afford a two-stage system over a single stage, do it. It's going to keep your shop, your nose, and your lungs cleaner. It's a good investment. If you're not at a point financially to purchase a dust collector with a built-in second stage, consider getting a single-stage collector and adding on an aftermarket separator. You can make your own or buy one to integrate for relatively cheap. You also want to get a machine that has a good filter, or get a third-party filter that you can install in your unit. A HEPA filter is the best. HEPA, it could be HEPA, I'm not really sure to be honest with you, stands for High Efficiency Particulate Air, and they trap at least 99.97% of airborne particles as small as 0.3 microns. You can get a HEPA, or HEPA, filter for your dust collectors and shop vacs. When using ductwork or hoses, the longer run of ductwork or hose you have, the more friction is created and the more airflow is reduced. So try to use a shorter run of ductwork as possible to get the job done. Flexible hoses create more resistance because they're usually ribbed and made of plastic, which has a higher coefficient of friction than metal or PVC piping. So when using flexible hoses to connect ductwork to your machines, have those connections as close to the machine as possible so you can use as little flexible hose as possible. Design a ductwork system that minimizes the use of 90-degree bends or T-branches. Opt for Y-branches instead, so airflow is gradually redirected instead of redirected quickly. Use 4-inch ductwork or larger whenever possible. I installed my dust collection system before I did the super deep dive into how they work, which in retrospect was pretty dumb. As a result, I currently have a section of ductwork going to my router table, which funnels down to a 2-inch bottleneck dust port. If you remember from earlier in the video, I talked about how this was the exact thing not to do, because this is killing the airflow at the tool and it would better be served with a shop vac. The last things to think about are shop air filters and filtration masks. Air filters are a great second line of defense for reducing that nasty smaller dust. You can equip them with HEPA, or HEPA, filters and can even DIY your own filter. Check out this video from Crafted Workshop on how to make your own air filter. A properly fitted NEOSH certified mask will act as your last and most important line of defense, keeping any dust not captured by your dust collectors and air filters from entering your nasal passages and lower airways. There are 2 things to consider when purchasing one. First, make sure it's NEOSH certified. NEOSH is the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. They perform research to determine chemical and biological hazards in the workshop, and their work informs standards for safety equipment like respirators. Second, for the mask to work, it has to fit your face properly and securely. Ideally, this means no facial hair, or if you have facial hair, keep it short.
That makes me feel sad.
You can perform a negative and positive seal test. For a negative seal test, put your mask on and inhale. This should create suction and the mask should collapse. For a positive seal test, put on your mask and exhale. The mask should bulge but not have any leaks. If you want to get a professional fit, you can go to an occupational health clinic or local urgent care clinic. I'm glad I decided to research this topic because I have a number of glaring issues with dust safety in my own shop, and now I know how to address them. I gotta switch up some dust ports on my machines, add an air filter, and be much better about wearing my mask. I hope this video helps you better understand dust collection and sawdust health risks. As always, reach out if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, and check out this YouTube recommendation for the next video to watch from the Pecos Aesthetic.